The Vampire. This is a story from 1965. A man named Thomas lives in Mexico with his wife Bella. They loved going on long road trips together, but this night they didn't know that they were being watched by a dark man with red eyes in the moonlit night. Thomas was singing a little song, and Bella was annoyed by it. Thomas turned the car onto a dirt road through the woods.
The forest is so dense here, Thomas, and so dark. How many times do I have to ask that you not go this way?
Listen, dear, this is a shortcut. From here, we will get home more quickly.
Please do not run with such a shortcut, Thomas. How many times I have explained it to you, but you do not listen at all.
Okay, honey, next time, we'll go by the road only, no matter how long it'll take.
It's okay, just let's get home quickly. These woods give me the willies.
Thomas was driving when he saw a man standing in front of him. That man is gesturing to stop the car.
Hey, why is this guy standing like this? I will stop and look.
Why should we stop? It's not safe in the middle of the night.
Who knows? Maybe he needs our help.
Are you sure, Tom? It's so late. We should go straight home.
Hey, don't worry, Bella. I'm with you. Nothing will happen. Relax. Let's just see what he has to say.
Thomas stops the car and lowers the window. A very handsome young man stands in front.
Hey, what's the matter? What are you doing here on such a night?
My name is Noah. I have come from a nearby village, but I've lost my way, and I've no idea where to go. The address is written, but I lost it too. Any chance you could give me a ride to a hotel? Thomas looks towards Bella. Bella shakes her head without making any expressions.
Okay, come on, sit inside.
Thank you very much. If you good folk hadn't come along, nobody else would have.
No problem. Come on, sit in the car.
Thomas is driving and also watching at Noah from the front mirror. Noah is looking out of the window. His body is shining in the moonlight.
My name is Thomas, and this is my wife, Bella.
Noah smiles and Bella looks at Thomas angrily. Thomas starts talking again.
So, Noah, how did you come to the city?
There is a famous paranormal activist, Mr. Handman. I've come to help him. I'm going to assist him. Big trouble has just arrived in this city.
No way, Mr. Peter Handman? He's a very good friend of mine. Great guy.
That's a very good thing.
Are you coming to see him this week?
Then I'll see you there.
You know what? You should just come stay at our house. Then tomorrow, I'll drop you off at Peter's house.
You guys are so kind. Thank you.
Bella has finally softened and begins talking to Noah.
Noah, what big trouble were you talking about?
Mr. Handman wrote me a letter that a vampire is awakened in this city. He is drinking the blood of people. We just have to control it. Peter asked me to come and assist him.
What are you talking about? A vampire? Are there real vampires?
Yes, they are real, Bella, ma'am.
Well, tell us a little bit more about these vampires.
I've read a lot about these vampires. These vampires are old species. They can live on animal blood for centuries and transform anyone's form. And when they are old enough to die, they seek out the blood of humans, which makes them live for years to come. They can read minds, and they're a very dangerous species.
Thomas stops the car.
Well, we're home. Now let's stop these scary stories. Bella, could you serve hot coffee for everyone?
Yes, of course. First, let's go inside the house.
Noah looked
towards the house and began to smell the house. His eyes were closed. Thomas saw him doing this and placed a hand on his shoulder and looked towards him. Noah's eyes opened.
Don't be shy, Noah. Think of it as your own home. Let's go inside.
Yes, Thomas. Bella, Noah, and Thomas sitting in the living room drinking coffee. Thomas sees that Noah is not drinking coffee.
Noah, why aren't you drinking coffee?
I don't like coffee.
Oh, so tell me what you like.
Noah answered again, rudely. I told you I don't like anything. Thomas and Bella stare at each other. Just then, a huge bat flies into their house and starts to roam all around.
Whoa! Where did that come from? Thomas, do something!
The bat's eyes turn red, and he comes in front of Thomas and strikes his face.
Hey, are you all right?
Thomas's face and hands get marks, and his body begins to bleed. Noah feels strange to see that blood.
Noah, I have to put the first aid box in the drawer. Get it fast.
Bella looks towards Noah, and there is no one there.
Noah, where are you?
Right behind you. When Bella looks back, Noah was standing there and his eyes turn red. His clothes turn black. His teeth become sharp. Bella is petrified. I am so thirsty. Today I will drink the blood of you two, and my age will increase for 10 years. Thomas is angry and is about to push Noah. But Noah flies into the air. Small bats come into their home, and they start to swarm around Noah.
Bella, get out of here!
No, I will not leave you. You are injured.
Noah follows Bella and captures her. All the bats grab Thomas with both of his arms and lift him from the ground so that he cannot do anything.
No, let me go. Noah, please, leave us alone. We helped you when you needed it. Please leave us.
Noah attacks Bella with his sharp teeth on her neck and begins to drink her blood. Bella falls unconscious and dies.
Bella! Bella!
Your wife is gone. Now it's your turn. Noah flies and strikes Thomas's throat, and Thomas is tortured to death. Noah comes out of the house with bats flying through the window. Bella and Thomas awake from death, and their eyes glow red and their teeth sharpen. They too have become vampires. They look at each other with a wicked smile, and they go out to the house and disguise themselves and go out on their own prey. The end. Black Nun. This story is from 1989. 3 girls in England, Cheryl, Agnes, and Diana, used to live together on a PG basis. All 3 used to work in different places, and slowly the friendship of the 3 became very deep.
Agnes, what kind of boy do you want to marry? I'll marry a rich boy so that I can be in comfort my whole life. Oh my. And Cheryl, you? I'm very happy with my bank's work. Money is not everything. He should be a good life partner. I think both partners should have jobs and run the home together. That's my wish. You and your bank job. I just want such a husband who's a slave to his wife.
A few days later, it is Cheryl's birthday. Agnes and Diana made a plan to throw a surprise birthday party together. They had decorated the room before Cheryl had arrived that evening.
But Agnes has her birthday at midnight. She will come before from the office, and our surprise will be spoiled. Oh yes, I hadn't thought of that. You do one thing. I will decorate the room, and you take her out of the office to roam somewhere and bring her back till midnight. Wow, that idea sounds fine. I will take her with me to watch a movie.
And Diana arrives at Cheryl's bank before her work is over for the day.
Hey Diana, what are you doing here? I thought I would take you to see a movie after this boring work. Want to come? Oh, well, that invite sure is a surprise. And where's Agnes? I don't know where she's at today, but both of us can go and watch a movie.
And thus, Diana makes an excuse to her friend's boss, and she takes her friend Cheryl to the movie. All the while, Agnes is preparing a surprise birthday party for her. Both are returning home after watching a movie late that evening.
The movie was very good, Diana. Thank you. No problem, my friend. You do all that boring work at the bank. You deserve some entertainment.
While walking home from the movie and chatting along the way, suddenly a woman appeared in front of them. She was very ugly, and she wore the clothes of a nun. She walked as if floating on air. Cheryl and Agnes were shocked at this mysterious woman that suddenly appeared in front of them.
Who are you?
Diana stands behind Cheryl. She doesn't want to approach further due to the fear.
Have you seen my brother Peter? Peter? Who's he? I don't know any Peter. You work at Bank of England, don't you? Yes. And yet you don't know Peter? He's my brother. Where is he? Come on, Cheryl. Let's go. Don't answer her. I think she's crazy. Let's leave. You know my brother Peter. He used to work in the Bank of England, too. I don't know. I have no idea who he is. You don't know then?
And the nun starts walking forward, screaming, and clutches Cheryl's neck. Suddenly her eyes turn deep red, and instead of tears, blood streams from her eyes. Suddenly her nails grow longer and sharper, holding Cheryl by the neck as she begins to fly up in the air, and she starts laughing loudly. Diana turns away after watching this nightmare unfold before her.
Leave, my friend, leave!
The woman takes Cheryl to a very high place and drops her from that immense height. Cheryl's head collides with the ground and immediately cracks open upon impact, and she begins bleeding out. And that mysterious woman disappears in the wind. Diana runs towards her dear friend, trying to help, but by then she has lost too much blood. Through tears, Diana pleads to her deceased friend.
Cheryl, come on, wake up. Today's your birthday. See? Agnes made a surprise plan for you. Get up now.
In a while, a crowd gathers. The police car and the ambulance also come there. They pick up Cheryl's body. Diana is crying and giving a statement at the police station. Then Agnes arrives there.
Agnes, our Cheryl is gone. She left us on her birthday. That woman killed Cheryl.
Which woman? Who was she? Please tell us in detail. And help us to sketch her. Diana dictates all the reports while weeping continuously. When the sketch arrives, everyone sees that the woman looks like a black nun. Look, ma'am. Don't cry. We are very sorry for your friend's death. Her case is not normal. We will do a full inquiry on her behalf, but I feel this is the case of the black nun. We can catch a living person, but what about the dead?
Black nun? Dead person? What are you saying? I don't understand.
Oh, Dr. Robert will be able to explain it all to you better than I could. Please go to him. Here is his address.
Who is he?
He is a paranormal activity expert and is currently researching the Black Nun.
What are paranormal activists?
These are the experts who research demonic forces and things that normal people cannot control. Both Diana and Agnes come to meet Dr. Robert the next day by making an appointment in advance. They see that his room is very bright, and strange machinery was set up. There is also a pentagram in the corner, and the doctor was sitting beside it. Welcome, Diana and Agnes. How are you?
Do you know us?
Yes, the inspector told me all about you. I will also research Cheryl's case. Have you brought the photo?
Yes.
Robert puts her photo in the middle of the pentagram, and he keeps watching it carefully. Robert starts mumbling quiet to himself. My suspicion was right. This is the work of the Black Nun, and I'm so very sorry your friend fell prey to her. Now, nothing can be done.
But why? Who? Or what?
Punishment can be given to those who are normal human beings, but the Black Nun is a spirit. Many years ago, in a village, two siblings, Sarah Whitefield and Peter, used to live happily. Peter found a good job in the city of the Bank of England. Sarah, I got a new job, and now I have to go to the city. But don't worry about me. I will keep sending you money, and I will also keep coming to visit you. Peter comes to town and starts his new job at the bank. Initially, he works honestly, but slowly, he gets addicted to earning quick money and starts betting the bank's money. I will become a very rich man one day. But the matter of Peter's fraud reaches the top of the management team, and he is handed over to the police. The case goes on for many days, and British law sentences him to death. And Peter is killed. All the while, Sarah Whitefield was unaware of Peter's whereabouts for months. She finally takes a trip to the city and goes to the bank to find her brother.
Where is my brother, Peter?
We don't know. The bank staff hides the truth from Sarah for many days, but she is very persistent and shows up there every day to look for her brother.
Where is my brother?
We do not know. He has not come in for a long time. Sarah senses something is suspicious, and she comes to the bank every day to inquire about Peter. One day, the bankers get tired of her and tell her the truth. Hearing that, Sarah's heart breaks completely. Seeing horrible emotional state that Sarah was in, the bank people announced to give her a pension on the condition that she would not come to the bank again. After some days, Sarah dies, and she's buried in the backyard of the bank. But suddenly, after some days, people in the bank saw Sarah. And again, she starts asking of her brother's whereabouts.
Have you seen my brother, Peter?
No. And Sarah converts into a black nun. Whoever answers her questions, she kills them in anger by smashing their head on the ground. The same thing happened to your friend, Cheryl. She has been a victim of the anger of the Black Nun.
But our friend was killed unnecessarily. How was it her fault?
I can understand your grief. God bless her soul. And a few days later, on the same path, the Black Nun again kills another person, and she continues to be the cause of fear in the city, even today. The end. The Jinn. This story is from 1926. Both my parents had died in an accident. And I used to live in Baghdad with my grandmother Sabina. I wanted to know how my parents died. But my grandmother would always give me an excuse. Even when I entered 8th grade, when I was 15. Granny, now I have to go to another village to study. Bless me.
Yes, son. Study hard and make progress. Which way will you go to school?
Granny, I will go by the trail which is near the pond outside the village.
Trail? The walkway along with that pond? No, don't go near that pond.
But why, Granny?
I don't have to answer that. If I say no, then the answer is no. Do not go near that pond.
That day, my grandmother refused to let me go near that pond, but I just had it stuck in my mind. Then I decided I would go to school that way. Eventually, I made 2 good friends, Afreen and Hamza. All 3 of us used to go to school on that path beside that pond.
You know what, Omar? My mother says that a genie was lived near this pond. Many years ago, he ate many people. Later, he was seized in a small pot and thrown in this lake.
No way, Afreen. Maybe that's why Grandma always forbids me to come here. But I still think this is a very quiet place. My friends and I continued to talk as we walked, until Afreen noticed 2 black eyes staring at us from the pond water. Afreen saw it first, staring back at her. She turned away, afraid.
Who's there? Who is that?
No one is there, Afreen. You must have just seen your own reflection in the water. Just then, ahead on the path, we saw a woman crying. She was sitting there in torn clothes with a bucket, crying out loud. Hey, why is she crying?
Omar, don't go near her. We don't know who she is. I'm already freaked out, and it's getting dark. Let's get out of here and go home.
How can you talk like that? Afreen, you're such a scaredy cat. We're both with you. Then, all 3 of us approached the crying woman. Why are you crying?
I won't be able to catch a single fish today. The little bunny, which I had also fallen in that pond. Now, what shall I tell my boss? My children will die of hunger, so I will die here first by jumping in this pond.
No, please don't do this. Tell me, where have you lost your money? I'll get it out of the pond and we'll help you with some fishing.
What are you talking about, Omar? The darkness is rising. And remember, Granny told you not to go inside the pond. This doesn't feel right. Let's get out of here.
Stand here and shut up. Nothing will happen. I will not go home without helping this lady. But we didn't know the 2 eyes were watching us. Just out of view, there was a slight movement in the pond water. A strange shadow that slowly rose up to the surface. At first, it appeared like a snake, then suddenly turned into a lizard. It changed its form over and over. Afreen looked back and saw nothing again.
I'm not feeling right about anything here, Omar and Hamza. Let's go from here.
Keep standing silently. I'm gonna go to the pond. I took off my shirt and my shoes and dove into the water. But the water moved like waves, and like I was just handed a small pot right into my hand. Hey, what is this? A pot? It looks kind of nice. I'll take it home. I found the woman's coins in the same spot underwater and gave them back to the old woman and got her fishing again. I showed my friends the pot, but as soon as the woman saw it, her eyes turned red and she started laughing out loud. Strong wind started moving all around, and there was a sudden stir in the water of the pond. Look!
You found the pot. After 200 years, I find this pot today. I knew you would do this job. Now, give me this pot.
200 years later? What are you talking about? Anyway, this pot is mine. I've taken it out of the pond. I will not return it.
I told you something was wrong here, didn't I? Now let's run away from here.
The 3 of us began to run away. Then that old woman suddenly took the form of a dog, and she started running after us. Her eyes were so scary. Then suddenly, wings started to grow on her, and she turned into an enormous hawk and snatched the pot right out of my hands while we were running.
Enough with your running. Now the pot is mine. Today, after 200 years, I will finally meet the genie once again. I just had to be really, really patient.
After saying all of that, she turned back into a woman and opened the lid of the pot. As soon as the pot was opened, strong smoke spewed out of it and surrounded us. A very big blue man appeared, whose upper body was partially visible and the lower body was like a snake's smoky tail. Wow, today I got my freedom after 200 years. Now I will rule the earth. He noticed the woman and flew towards her, entering her mind and taking her over. Fire came out of her mouth. Her teeth grew sharp, and she started laughing out loud. Her legs turned into a snake's tail. We were terrified, and we all started running back along the path. But the genie ran faster than us and caught my leg and threw acid on my face and mouth. No! Leave me alone! Then Jinn entered my body. Things like snakes' tongues came out of my mouth like tentacles. My eyes turned red and it started raining. My pals, Afreen and Hamza, very quickly ran away from there. I reached my grandmother's house and told her everything.
Why has this happened? Oh, why did he go there against my wishes? My children! That was a genie. That genie ate Omar's parents. That's why I told you that you couldn't go there.
What is a genie, Granny?
A genie can take any form. There are good ones, but most are bad. They can enter into any animal or human being and become like them. They have 3 different types that come in different colors. They can run at speeds of 15 to 18 miles per hour and carry a weight ranging from 20 pounds to 200 pounds. Sometimes they can take shape of a creature with wings, and other times, like dogs and snakes, can see genies and are always their friends. So that means our Omar will never recover now? There's a guy there named Hatim that might have a solution. You two run off home, children.
So that's what my grandma did. She went and found a man named Hatim Baba. Hatim's room has magical potions all around. He had magical animals stuffed on his wall, and swirling smoky powers were in the room. Come!
Genie has taken my boy.
Oh, don't say another word to me. I know everything. Why did those children go to the pond? Now that pot has been opened after 200 years, now everywhere will be doom. I will get Omar here, but remember, today that genie will take the sacrifice of somebody's life. Hatim started chanting aloud and put more wood on the fire. In a short time, Omar, that was me, who has now become the genie, came in. At this point, I was very large, with wings and eyes completely red. As soon as I came into Hatim's room, the whole room was filled with the red light. Why have you come out of your pot? What has this child done to you? Leave him alone. It's cramped in there. I will stay here until I find another home. And will destroy this whole world. Hatim kept on chanting aloud. In a short time, a big fight started between his powers and the powers of the genie. The genie came out of me. In order to fight Hatim, he looked like a snake. Why you remove me from Omar's body? Now I will enter into this old lady. And before Hatim could do anything, the genie used his evil powers to enter into my granny's body.
Nanny fell down in anguish. I was sad. Hatim started to capture the genie into a teapot. Leave this old lady, or I will have to imprison you in this pot. No! What are you doing? Do not tie me to that pot. I will leave this old lady. I will do whatever you say. You become my master from now on. But Hatim continued to recite the chant continuously, and the genie slowly came out of Granny's body and was sucked into the pot like smoke. Then my grandmother died. Your grandmother is dead, Omar. There's no use crying now. You should have obeyed her. Now you too, go away from here. I've never forgotten that genie. And I realized that because of my mistake, my grandmother left this world. The world of the jinn is very dangerous. The end. The Werewolf. This story is set in the city of Boston in 1975. 3 friends studied at St. Joseph's College, Ross, Jenny, and Nick, who were very good friends. They were always together. One evening, when the college was closed, they were standing and talking near the college entrance gate. They didn't notice that night had fallen.
Guys, both of you should come to my house on weekends. We can hang out.
I have to do the assignment.
Hey, Jenny, come on. If you're not gonna come, then what's the point?
Okay, guys. Okay, I'm in.
When Jenny, Ross, and Nick look at the road, they see a mysterious person staring at them.
You guys see that weird dude looking at us?
Yeah, I do. Wait here, I'll go teach him a lesson.
Nick runs after the man, and the odd stranger quickly runs into the forest.
Oh, you think you're fast, do you? I'll get you.
Nick runs fiercely after him in the forest. Nick has entered the thick of the forest. After running a long time, when he looks, he finds no one around. Night has swallowed up all the light, except for the rays of the soft moon glow from the full moon hanging above him. He suddenly senses that someone is watching him from a patch of nearby bushes, and his eyes are glowing a fearsome, evil red. Nick gets nervous. He starts running fast, and a strange shadow runs after him. Nick runs to the hill near the forest and sees a ditch in front of him.
Oh, what do I do? Where do I go? Oh, someone please help me.
Nick is scared. He looks at a trench. He feels a creature breathing deeply behind him. Nick looks nervously behind himself. There stands a man with red eyes.
Who are you?
Nick sees the man's fingernails slowly growing as the moonlight casts its glow over his body. His clothes burst from his chest. His teeth were strangely and rapidly growing, taking the shape of a wolf's fangs. Turns into a werewolf right before Nick's eyes. And Nick is truly horrified.
Leave me. Let me go, please. Let me go, let me go, let me go.
The now werewolf attacks Nick, causing his neck to bleed badly. Jenny crying hysterically to Ross's house. Jenny?
Ross, Nick's body was found dead near the hill. He was murdered by a werewolf.
What? What are you talking about?
You heard me right. Nick never came home, so the police went to the forest to look for him because I told them that he had run into the forest. I so wish I had stopped him.
The 2 friends go to Nick's house and find Nick's corpse, which brings them both to tears. Ross gently pulls Jenny away from the awful sight.
Did a werewolf really kill him? How could that be?
You don't believe me, do you? Meet me at the town library tomorrow.
Jenny showed Ross a book written about werewolves.
In 1521, they were first seen in Germany. It's a very dangerous species. They take the form of humans on normal days, but on the night of the full moon, their werewolf form emerges from within. And no matter how much they try, their human side is unable to overcome the raging instincts of the wolf within, and they can't stop themselves from killing.
Ross is peering into the strange images of people in the book. He intently studies the pages of the book before him. All at once, Mike comes running in towards them. "Where have you guys been? I've been searching for you two everywhere."
What happened, Mike?
5 students died in college. All of them were victims of a werewolf. Ross is horrified when he heard this. "Come on, Jenny, we should go."
Ross, we should figure out a way to kill this werewolf. In this book, it says that it can be killed on the full moon's night. And he becomes a werewolf only on nights when there's a full moon. If someone strikes his heart with a silver dagger, he's sure to die. It says so in this book. We can just go pick up a silver dagger at the nearby Walmart.
But then what are we gonna do?
Only when he becomes a werewolf is when he has to kill a human. And that's when we can kill him.
Are you crazy? There's no way I'm gonna be part of any of this. Who would risk their lives on a mission like this?
Okay, Ross, if you don't want to come, don't come. But I want to do this. For Nick.
Jenny, if you don't mind, I'd like to help you. My best friend John was also killed because of that werewolf. Jenny smiles at Mike. They have something in common. The two of them form a bold alliance and dive headlong into planning their attack until the next night of the full moon. Mike steals the silver necklace from his house and made a dagger from it by giving it to a blacksmith. Night of the moon finally arrives. Mike and Jenny stand their guard near the forest, each of them gripping a silver dagger in their respective hands. We should enter the forest now. Jenny and Mike move with caution and torch in hand. They walk to the hilly area and await anxiously there. It's midnight. How long is this gonna take? I've got a bedtime, Jenny. There's no time left. If we don't kill the werewolf today, who knows how many lives will be lost? Just then, the werewolf climbs atop Mike and suddenly attacks him. Mike's dagger slips from his hand while the werewolf's deadly teeth are snapping at Mike's neck, and he is relentlessly fighting back. Jenny takes out her dagger and attacks the vicious werewolf. She stabs him in his furry back. The werewolf raises a pain-filled and surprised howl as he looks at Jenny with terrible red eyes and slowly approaches her. Jenny begins walking backwards.
Get out of my city.
The werewolf howls a bloodthirsty roar again. Jenny's foot hits a stone and she falls backwards, scraping and bruising her face. As the werewolf moves towards her, Mike slowly regains consciousness. He had fainted earlier from the attack of the werewolf. Jenny! Mike struggles to get on his feet, to charge the werewolf and climb on top of him, as the terrible creature sinks his teeth over and over again into Mike's chest, and Mike dies from fatal blows. Jenny attacks the werewolf again. She had picked up both daggers now. She struck once on his back and the other in his heart, causing the werewolf to scream in pain, disappearing like a shaggy shadow of thick black smoke hanging in the air before her. A few days later, Ross meets her when Jenny has recovered and returned to college. Forgive me, Jenny. I did not help you when you really needed me. You are a very brave girl.
Ross, you must not forget Mike. I am alive today because of him, and because of him, we're all alive and well.
The end. The Scarecrow. This is a story from the year 1920. Helen lived with her entire family in a small village. Her son, Sam, was 15 years old, and her husband, Tom, was a farmer. They were spending their life happily. One day, Sam was playing with his friends. Let's play at the farm near the church.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes, it'll be fun.
I'm not going there. If both of you want to go, then go. But our parents told us to never go there. I'm going to obey them.
Sam, Jerry, and Ricky go to play on the farm near the church, not listening to Henna, as evening quickly approached.
It's evening now. We should go home. Wait, what's the hurry?
No, Sam, we should go now. Mommy and Daddy instructed us to never come here anyway.
Yes, but why was it forbidden?
I don't know exactly, but they say that a ghost comes in the scarecrow of this farm.
Sam laughs out loud.
What a useless story. A ghost and a scarecrow.
Then the strong winds start moving, and the lightning starts to whip. Jerry and Ricky now feel fear creep under their skin.
Come on, Sam. Let's leave this place. I am scared.
No, I have to go find that scarecrow and see if that silly story is really true.
Jerry and Ricky then run further into the deepening darkness.
How scared are all the folks in this small town? They've made all the children cowards with their dumb stories of...
Sam takes a walk in the cornfield. When he walks a little further, he feels that someone is following him. He stops and looks behind him, but doesn't see anybody. Then he continues walking. Then Sam looks to where the scarecrow is normally posted in the field, only to find that there is no scarecrow. Sam is surprised upon this odd discovery. He looks around, but there is no scarecrow anywhere. He begins to feel a little scared.
Where did that scarecrow go?
I think I'm gonna head home now.
As Sam turns back to head home, Scarecrow is instantly standing in front of him. Half of his face is burnt. His eyes are red. His face is terrible. Sam is horrified to see him and runs away, but his escape is in vain. Because wherever he ran, Scarecrow would appear in front of him. Sam falls to the ground, and Scarecrow leerily approaches him.
Where do you think you're going, child?
Get away from me. Let me go.
No, I don't let go of anyone. No one escapes. Stay away from my farm.
Sam tries to run away, but the Scarecrow grabs his leg and throws him into the air. Sam falls to the ground and is bruised on his head by a stone. He is bleeding. Suddenly, in the same field, it becomes a marsh, and Sam sinks into it, where many more skeletons are around him. Sam's mother and father come to Jerry, Ricky, and Henna, and they look very upset.
What's the matter, Auntie? Our son Sam has not come home yet. Do you know where he is?
Jerry and Ricky look at each other fearfully.
He's on the farm near the church, where you told us to never go.
Hearing this, Sam's mother begins crying.
I'm sure that scarecrow took my child too.
There's no use in crying. We have to go and look for him.
Wait, we should take the help of Father Peter. He will help us.
Everyone goes to visit Father Peter to seek help.
My father has given his life to liberate that scarecrow's soul to help this village. I will not let his sacrifices go in vain. Perhaps this is the right time to destroy that scarecrow.
But who is this scarecrow? And why is everyone so afraid of him?
50 years ago, a farmer lived near the farm beside the church named Max. He used to grow the best grains in his field, and he was progressing day by day, seeing his other farmers in the village start to get jealous. Everyone slowly avoided Max. Max felt very alone, for he was unmarried and both of his parents had also died, but his profits would be many times more than all the other farmers. All the farmers were upset about this.
They jointly made a plan. One night, while Max was sleeping at his house, farmers went into his field and set it ablaze, and all his wheat was burnt. Max ran into his fields and saw that the fields were burning, and he realized that it was the work of the jealous farmers. He took a hammer and hit it on the head of one farmer, and all the other farmers brought him near his burning fields and tied him to the scarecrow. Along with the farm, he died too. But his soul is imprisoned in that scarecrow, and then that scarecrow killed all the peasants, and whoever goes around the farm since then, well, he kills them too.
We'll have to find Sam soon, Uncle Peter.
Peter, Helen, and Tom come to the farm and start calling Sam. As Helen's torch falls to the ground, she sees that Sam's clothes are lying there. As she leans down to pick them up, she sees two very frightening feet. She slowly raises the torch, trembling in fear, and sees Scarecrow looming menacingly in front of her.
Stay away from my fields.
Scarecrow pushes Helen, and Tom points the torch towards Scarecrow, but he does not fear anything.
Where is my son Sam? What did you do to him?
I buried him in this land, and now I will do the same with you three.
Scarecrow attacks Tom and he faints. He again turns the fields to swamps all around, and Sam's corpse begins to appear as well. Helen and Tom start to sink inside the swamp.
My son Sam? Tom? Save us, Peter.
Peter, who stands away from the farm, takes a little bottle of holy water and pours it over the Scarecrow. Scarecrow starts screaming with pain. Peter slowly pours the entire bottle over him. The Scarecrow is shattered and slowly merges into the soil. Helen and Tom start crying when they find their son's corpse.
Sorry, Helen, I could not save your son, but your son's sacrifice saved the villagers from that monster today.
The end.
Ouija game. This is a story from the 1960s. A boy named Harry lived in Poland with his parents. He had 3 friends, Emma, George, and Luna. One day, Harry's parents went to their relative's house. Harry called his friends at home.
After how many days someone's house has been found empty, else the parents had stopped going anywhere?
Everyone laughs and sits on the couch.
Now tell me, what should we do? We all have all night ahead of us.
Let's play Truth or Dare.
What kind of game do you want to play? I have lots of games.
Which one?
Ouija game. I just got it. It looks like fun.
George removes Ouija game from his backpack. It is a dark board, cracked and creepy looking.
Where did you get this board, George? It belonged to my brother. I found it in his basement.
Yes, let's start playing. I don't know. Looks creepy.
Scaredy cat. It'll be fun.
The 4 friends each placed their left hands on the board and look at each other. Candles are burning all around. George begins reading by looking at the paper provided with the board.
If there is a soul around us, reveal yourself to us.
All their friends look at each other and are also nervous. George repeats the same statement.
If there is a soul around us, reveal yourself to us.
That's when they hear the sound of glass breaking. When they look at the front of the house, they see there is a broken window. Luna sounds very scared.
Looks like someone has heard our voice.
Soul, if you can hear us, answer our call.
Everyone looks towards the board game, and letters appear in the center of the board. Y-E-S. The children look at one another in terror.
I'm so scared, guys. We should stop this game.
No, the real game has just started. George, you should ask that soul something else.
George thinks for a moment, then asks.
What's your name?
They all look towards the board, but there is no answer.
I'm asking again. What is your name?
The previous letters disappear, and new letters reveal themselves. E-V-I-L.
Evil! Its name is Evil. This must be a demon. George, stop this game right now.
Suddenly, the candles all go out, and smoke fills the room. The 4 children start coughing.
George, what is happening? I'm very scared. We should stop this game right now.
Everyone removes their hands from the board and closes the box. The smoke slowly disappears.
Thank God everything is under control now. George, we survived narrowly today. Yeah, man, you're right.
A shadowy figure stands up behind George. The 3 are horrified to see him.
Look behind you, George.
George looks back and screams. His arms and legs are very thin. His eyes are red and bloody. There are bruises on his head. The 4 tremble at seeing that shadow.
What happened? You children got scared of me. You guys have called me only. Do you know I was alive like you all? I used to breathe. And you know what I used to do? I used to burn down the small children to their death. Do you know why? Because I was insane. People knew me by the name of Evil Killer. One day, I died in a car accident. And since then, I am wandering in this world to hunt. Today, you have made my work easier by calling me back to this world.
George runs towards the board and starts reading the instructions.
We want to send you back. Go from here. Go!
Evil approaches him and breaks the board and takes the paper in his hand, and it crumbles into ash. George is horrified to see this.
I haven't come here just to be sent back into my prison. Understand?
Evil grabs George's neck, and his body begins to soak. Evil screams out loud. Emma, Harry, and Luna try to escape, but the fire flames engulf them from all sides.
Please, please leave us alone.
George suffocates, and his body starts to burn. George falls and is burnt, and is nothing more than a skeleton. Harry pours water on the door to extinguish the fire. But the flames do not go out. Instead, the flames become more hot. Evil creeps up to Harry and clings to his body.
That's enough, kid. Now you will not be able to escape from my flames.
Harry screams with pain. Evil made a mark on Harry's body. With his powers, started laughing. Then Luna and Emma come, and Emma takes the cross locket from her neck and puts it on Evil's forehead. Evil begins to suffer badly. He burns Harry badly in the fire, and Harry's body also becomes scorched in the fire.
Luna, run from here. I will stop him with this cross. But you, don't worry about me. You run from here.
Luna starts running away, and the evil attacks Luna instead of Emma. He pushes her from behind, and she falls into the fire at the door. And she started suffering from the flames. Emma has a cross in her hand, so as soon as evil starts to hurt her, he is in pain. He cannot do any harm to Emma.
I'll be back again.
Emma starts crying badly. The fire goes out. She is trembling badly. She opens the door and runs away from the house. The end.
The Mummy. This is the story from 1995. Max lives in Chicago City. He used to work in a famous museum in Chicago. One day, Max is talking with his assistant Sheldon. A white coffin is out in front of them.
Sheldon, this mummy is from Egypt. It is said that it is 1,000 years old. It was a very dangerous king. It is said that this king buried 100 people alive into the walls of his tomb. Sir, I have also heard that while he was dying, this king told his people that he will definitely return and rule his kingdom. What? Even after death? What an arrogant king he was. I think he let fame go to his head. Yes, you're probably right, sir. Maybe with him here, our museum will become famous too? Yes, that's the idea. Tomorrow I will ask the boss about where to display it. It's time to close the museum. Let's finish our work. Okay, sir. We will decide on the new mummy display tomorrow. Let's go finish the delivery paperwork. Max and Sheldon go back to their office to finish some paperwork. But as they leave the room, the coffin begins to make a scraping sound. His eyes open, blood red and dark and scary. He breaks the white coffin in pieces and stands up, stammering towards the door, as though searching every room to escape his tormented death. Until he found a way out of the museum. Sheldon, you lock up tonight. I'm going to head home. Okay, sir. Max leaves the building. Sheldon locks every door. But as he passes by the mummy room, he sees the shattered pieces of the coffin, and the mummy is nowhere to be seen. A trail of bloody footprints lead from room to room in the museum. Whose bloody tracks are these? A look of realization crosses Sheldon's face. His eyes widen with fear. Something must be wrong. Something is wrong. Oh no! The mummy must be alive. These are his footprints. He follows the footprints to the middle of the snow-covered parking lot. Oh no! No! Max's car was parked right here. That means... Sheldon is horrified and calls Max immediately. Max picks up the phone. Sheldon asks nervously, Sir, where are you, sir? What's the matter, Sheldon? I'm on Baker Street. But why are you so nervous? Sir, the mummy's not in his box. Not in the box? Then where? Where are you? What are you talking about, Sheldon? No, sir, you don't understand what I'm saying. I sure don't, Sheldon. I'll call you from home. Sir, at least listen to me. Then the mummy sits up in the back of Max's car. His eyes are bloody. The whole body is covered in bandages. Max screams when he sees him. You're right, Sheldon. He's in my car. Max loses control of his car and crashes into a tree. Sir, I'm coming there right now. Sheldon ran back into the museum to get his keys, but also grabs a can of salt in his office.
Then he runs to his car. Max is badly injured. His head is bleeding. When he gets up slowly and looks back nervously, there is no one there. He opens the door and starts limping and running. Then the mummy comes in front of him. Max is horrified. He picks up a stick and slams it across the mummy's face, but the mummy barely moves and the stick shatters to pieces. The mummy begins to slowly unwrap his body from the bandages. Max runs, but Mummy uses his bandages like a rope to snag Max's leg. "Save me! Leave me! Let me go! Leave me! Let me go! Leave me! Leave me! Leave me! Let me go!" Max collapses as he runs. He starts to beg for his life. "No, no, 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 no! Leave me! Let me go! Leave me! Leave me! Let me go!"
Just as I proclaimed that I would return and not leave anyone alive. Not anyone.
With supernatural power, Mummy flings his bandage rope over a tree branch and pulls Max up into the air. The mummy touches his hand to the tree, and branches reach out around Max, tying him tightly in the air. Blood from the mummy's hands stained the tree red. Max is terrified. "Save me! Save me! Help! Help!" Another strip of cloth supernaturally wraps around Max's mouth, and he can no longer speak. Not far away, Sheldon is driving fast. The road is completely deserted. When he spots Baker Street, he sees that Max is tied in branches hanging from a tree, and the mummy has set the tree on fire. Sheldon is determined to save his boss. He floors it, ramming his vehicle into the bandaged creature. The mummy breaks into pieces, torn limb from limb, and he falls on the ground. Sheldon gets out of his damaged car and reaches Max. Sir, are you all right? Wait, I'll get you down." "You're just in time, Sheldon. That thing was about to kill me." Then, Mummy's scattered pieces on the ground start connecting. Sheldon is shocked to see this. Mummy becomes even more terrible after joining all the parts. "Get out now, sir! We don't have time!" The mummy rises up behind Sheldon and grabs his neck, breaking bones. Max struggles to get out, but Mummy walks in front of him. Max shakes in fear. Mummy removes the bandage from his body, and the bandages reach around Max, wrapping more and more, pressing on his neck, his arms. Sheldon lays on the ground, stunned, unable to stand, but he remembers the salt that he inexplicably grabbed from his office. He grabs the bag and throws it at the mummy. The mummy screams in agony as his body is burned by the salt. Then his bandages catch fire and the mummy shrinks into the ground. Sheldon takes Max out. Sir, are you all right?" "Yes, I'm fine, Sheldon. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come." "Sir, what do we do with this mummy? We can't leave it like this." "Send it back where it came from. We don't want it in our city. And remember, don't tell this incident to anyone. I don't want people to hear anything bad about our museum." Later, some people are taking Mummy's box out of the museum. Max and Sheldon see Mummy was getting moved by some people. Then Max asks, "Sheldon, how did you get the idea to spray salt on this mummy?" "Sir, I saw it in a movie. I thought I would try it, and it was a good try, sir. Our lives were saved." "I'm thinking what would have happened if you hadn't seen that film." "I don't know, sir. What would have happened then?" Both of them look at each other and take a sigh of relief when they see the mummy going. A few years later, two people are opening Mummy's box and placing it in a new museum. That's when the mummy's eyes open. The end.
Dracula. This story is in the year 1930. Jack, along with his two brothers, Harry and Kevin, comes to Salem, which the small town that their grandmother lives in, for Christmas. one afternoon, the three were sitting in Grandma's house when Harry spoke up.
Come on, guys, let's go somewhere. Do something. This afternoon is so boring.
Yeah, man. Great idea. Let's go.
No, dude. I don't want to go. You both go. Jack, bro, Julie is coming to meet us. I talked with her this morning, but no problem if you don't want to come.
Julie's coming? Then I'm game.
Harry and Kevin look at each other and laugh. Then they all go to meet Julie. Julie is his childhood friend, and Jack and Julie like each other very much.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm good. How about you? They are talking and wandering around the whole town. There's a cemetery a little closer to the forest, near where Jack spies a dilapidated, abandoned home.
Julie, tomorrow come meet me here in the evening. Seems like no one comes here, which would be great, because then we could hang out.
Julie smiles and says yes to Jack's invitation. The next evening, Jack and Julie return to the decrepit house to spend time together.
No one will disturb us here. This place is a wreck, and we can talk for hours and not disturb anybody.
Have you heard what folks say about this house? I heard that it's Dracula's home. 100 years ago, the terror of bats in this town had increased. Everywhere the bats kept flying and scratching and hurting people every day. One day, a man named Victor was returning to his home when he sees a black cat with blood-red eyes. Upon beholding this sight, he was struck with fear.
What an evil-looking creature. Looks nothing short of a pure, vile, evil, sinister monster.
Then suddenly, the cat comes near him and scratches his leg with its sharp claws as a bat simultaneously bites him, leaving a scar on his neck. Victor suddenly begins to feel very badly. Suddenly, his teeth start becoming pointed, and his finger and toenails begin growing.
What's happening to me? Maybe I should go home early today.
As Victor rushes to his house, his entire appearance has changed, and he discovers that he has transformed into a hideous, terrible Dracula. Suddenly, he feels an insatiable thirst for blood. He cannot control himself, and he drinks his wife's blood. But his thirst is still unquenched, so he also drinks the blood of his 3 innocent children. Dracula's terror in the town increases so much that people stop leaving their homes. Then, one night, Victor the Dracula writes on a hill with his own blood.
I will come again after 100 years.
After writing this message, he disappears into the dark and gloomy confines of his house.
Wow, what a dumb story.
Yes, it is! Now, it's not known whether it's real or not, but word around town is that now 100 years have passed and Dracula could wake up any time.
Come on, Julie. Enough of these scary stories. It's too late to talk of such things. I'll see you again tomorrow, at the same time.
On the same night, the terror of bats again takes place in the small town. Angry squeaking from the bats, and in the midst of all this pain and chaos, Dracula's eyes open. The next evening, when Jack was leaving his house to meet Julie, Harry stops him.
Bro, you hardly spend any time with us because you're always with Julie. Today, why don't you just stay home and play with us here? I want to spend time with Julie. You guys do your own thing and leave me alone, understand? Okay, fine. So, why don't you just go live in that creepy shack of a house with Julie?
Jack is waiting for Julie at the same house as before.
It's taking way too long, and there's still no trace of Julie yet. I wonder what the holdup is.
Then he noticed a door that had some blood on it. Jack finds that strange. All of a sudden, pitch-black bats start flying over the house.
Whoa, this door leads to the Dracula's dungeon. But whose blood could this possibly be?
Jack slowly and cautiously made his way down the staircase and entered the dungeon. He peered warily around and saw 2 glittering eyes. These eyes approached him, and he soon realizes it's nothing but a cat. As Jack turned, he saw Julie's body hanging, with her blood dripping rhythmically to the dungeon's cold, hard floor.
Julie! Julie, what happened to you?
Jack is shocked at Julie's death. Then he suddenly hears the sound of footsteps behind him. When he looks back fearfully, a terrible Dracula stands behind him. As Jack tries frantically to escape, Dracula flies to him and sinks his razor-sharp fangs into Jack's neck, drinking his blood in the process. It's not long before Jack has also died a horrible death. Jack's mother, Jenny, is waiting for him, and she is very worried. Harry? Kevin? Where's your brother? Do you know what time it is?
Mom, Jack spends pretty much all day, every day, with Julie. I bet right this minute now that he's probably still with her.
But this is the day when storms break loose from the foreboding skies and the whole town is engulfed with a plague of bats. Jack's grandmother is greatly frightened.
Looks like Dracula is back. He said that he would return, and that when he did, he'd be sure to drain each and every person of their life source.
What? What are you talking about, Mother? It hasn't been 100 years yet. Suddenly, Jack's mother falls silent as her gaze wanders slowly over to the calendar. It has been 100 years since Victor's incident. Where is Jack? Why hasn't he come home yet?
I told him not to come home. I was awful to him. The 2 used to meet daily in the old house near the forest, and I gave them a hard time about it. I was being so stupid.
What? That house belonged to Victor.
Everyone is running around in fear of their lives as Dracula's terror reigns over the poor town. Harry, realizing that his brother Jack didn't come home because of him, goes to the old house to find his brother Jack.
Jack, dude, listen. I'm sorry for whatever I said earlier. Can you please come home? Where are you, brother? Can you forgive me?
Then a beam of light comes from a bat's eyes as it senses Harry's presence. Dracula sees Harry. Dracula looks at Harry with a gleam of hunger and instantly starts trying to figure out a way to add Harry's blood to his menu for the night. He subdues the bats, and they fly outside and follow Harry. Harry runs to attempt to avoid them and ends up entering that same dreaded house, leading straight to the dungeon. He sees blood all around him. His heartbeat quickens, and he can't seem to catch his breath, for it is in this very moment he stumbles upon Julie and Jack's corpses.
Brother.
Dracula appears in front of him and he screams loudly. Dracula is approaching him. Then, at the same time, Jenny shows up unexpectedly. She's looking for Jack and Harry as well. She puts her cross, which is in her locket, on Dracula's forehead, and Dracula shudders with pain. But before he gasps his last, he sinks his teeth into Harry's neck before he dies. Jenny frees Harry from the Dracula's grip, and then Dracula transforms and flies away as a flock of sinister bats. Harry, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine, Mom. But Jack and Julie...
Both Jenny and Harry start crying from the loss of Jack and Julie. The next day, Harry is resting on the bed when he suddenly starts feeling strange. He opens his eyes and studies his reflection in a mirror. Harry's teeth start to turn fang-like. And at that moment, his younger brother Kevin enters. Harry started leering at him greedily. Just one look at his brother caused him to desire to consume his blood. Harry then swoops on him and begins drinking Kevin's blood. Once full, Harry jumped out of the bedroom window and returned to the same old and decrepit house. And once again, a new Dracula resides there to terrorize the village of Solemn. The end.
The Candyman. This story takes place in 1992. James and Emma were twins who lived with their aunt, Mrs. Hudson, in Chicago. The twins studied in the same college. One day, Emma and James were returning home when James' friend Peter came to them and stopped them on their way.
What happened, Peter? Don't you intend to go home today?
Nope, today's gonna be our night out.
What do you mean?
I mean that today we're all going to go to my Aunt Sophie's house. Her house is huge and we can have a great time there.
That sounds fun, Peter, but won't your aunt mind? Especially if you're bringing us as guests?
Nope, I already told Aunt Sophie that we'll come visit there on the weekends. Emma and James started looking at each other and considered whether they should go to Peter's aunt's house or not. Peter talked them into it. Come on, guys, it'll be very fun.
Okay, we'll go with you.
In the evening, they all met in one place and left for Sophie's house. The three reached Sophie's house. Peter knocked on the door. Sophie opened the door.
Hello, my children. How are you? I was waiting for you all.
Thank you, Aunt Sophie. This is my friend James, and this is James's sister, Emma.
It is very good that both of you also came. Peter talks a lot about both of you.
Everyone was talking together and looked happy. Sophie took them to a room. The room was very big and beautiful.
You guys sit down. I'll bring breakfast for you.
The three had breakfast and sat down together in the room. James and Peter were talking to each other, and Emma was looking through the books on the bookshelves on the wall. Just then, she looked at a book upon which Candyman was written. Emma started looking into the book. It had a photo of a man with one hand chopped off, and his face was covered with bees. James interrupted her thoughts.
What you doing, Emma? What are you looking at?
Who is this Candyman?
Oh, that book. Creepy, huh? Aunt Sophie told me about Candyman when I was young.
What did she say?
Some guy named Daniel Robitaille who lived in Chicago 50 years ago. He was very good at his studies and his painting skills, but no one talked to him much because he was studying with a scholarship in a rich college. One day, a girl named Rose was very impressed with his paintings to learn painting. He called Daniel at her house. Daniel started to going to Rose's house to teach painting. It didn't take long for the two of them to fall in love. But then Rose's father came to know about this, and he beat Daniel nearly to death, and then cut off one of Daniel's hands and put honey on his body and left him to the bees. Daniel died a painful death.
What happened to Daniel was so terrible.
It is said that Daniel's soul is still wandering, killing people even today.
What are you saying, Peter? Is this Candyman a ghost?
Yes, and it's said that if it calls Candyman's name 5 times while staring in the mirror, Candyman will come and kill that.
What rubbish is all this? That's not gonna happen.
I don't know what happens and what doesn't. I'm just repeating what I've been told.
Come on, Peter. Why do you guys keep even discussing this?
James and Peter continued talking, but Emma was still thinking about this Candyman. Emma, what are you thinking about?
I will call on Candyman's name 5 times in front of a mirror and see what happens.
Well, nothing will happen. but what if Candyman comes? That would be scary. Emma does not listen to Peter and stands in front of the mirror and starts naming Candyman.
Candyman, 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 Candyman.
Are you sure you want to do this, Emma? Still got time if you did. Emma smiled at Peter and called out Candyman's name for the 5th time.
Candyman.
They all started looking around them, but nothing changed. See? Nothing happened. The 3 turned to sit back in the place when the chandelier hanging in the room started moving, and everything in the room started quaking and shivering and crashing, and all 3 of them were scared.
What's going on, Peter?
I don't know. Come on, run. Let's go get Aunt Sophie. But before they could, a swarm of honeybees came from the window and spread into the room. All 3 kids started waving their hands and feet to avoid the bees. Then smoke formed in the shape of a man before them. One of his hands was sliced off, and blood was dripping from the wrist. The other side of his body was covered in bees. The kids were terrified. You guys called me, and I came. Now, I will take you all with me. This is Candyman! Run, guys! Peter started running. Candyman splashed blood on Peter's face with his chopped off hand, and Peter's face started burning badly.
Peter, are you alright?
My face is burning! James, do something! James grabbed a jug of water, but as soon as he put his hands near Peter's face, the water turned into blood, and the blood fell on Peter's body, and now his whole body started burning. He collapsed on the ground in agony.
Peter!
James was shocked to see this. The Candyman came close to him and sent all the bees upon him. James's body was covered with bees, and he was screaming in pain.
Please leave them. I have called you. Take revenge on me. Leave them alone.
I will take the biggest revenge on you. Emma ran to the open door, but the door was jammed shut, so that every effort was in vain. Outside, Aunt Sophie heard the pounding of the door on the children's room.
This voice is coming from the children's room.
Sophie ran to the door and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge.
Peter, open the door.
From inside, Emma started crying and asking help from Sophie.
And save us! Candyman will kill us! Please save us! Candyman?
Sophie ran to her own room and stood in front of a mirror. Back in the room, Candyman came close to Emma. His eyes were red, and he was looking at Emma with anger. Candyman lifted Emma up into the air by her hair. In the other room, Sophie was standing in front of the mirror with a hammer, and she started repeating the name of Candyman and hammering on the glass at the same time. As soon as she hit the mirror the first time, Candyman's power began to fade. Honeybees began to leave James's body, and the blood on Peter's body began to wash away. What is happening to me? Why are my powers decreasing? He dropped Emma to the floor. Sophie's voice could be heard from the other room as she called out the name Candyman and smashed the mirror with the hammer. Candyman shattered onto the ground like glass and disappeared from the room. James and Peter started to get up from the ground in a wounded condition. Sophie ran inside the room.
Are you guys all right? Yes, Aunt. We're all fine. It's my fault. I called him, and it was all because of me. Never mind, Emma, but remember to never call him again.
Emma, James, and Peter returned to their homes, but they never forgot this incident.
The Licked Hand This is a story from 1956. Hannah lived with her entire family in a small town in Chicago. She was 12 years old and had a pet dog named Tom. She is very fond of him. Hannah takes Tom everywhere and spends all her time with him. On this day, Hannah's parents were preparing to go on a trip.
Hannah, you really should come with us. We can't just leave you here alone.
Oh, Mom, I'm not a child. I can take care of myself and this house. You go without me, and don't worry. Plus, Tom is also with me. We'll be fine.
It's all right, Rosie. Hannah, you can stay. We'll be back by tomorrow morning. It's only a matter of one night. Let's go. Hannah, you have to lock all the windows and doors, okay?
Okay, Daddy.
Hannah's mom and dad walk away. Hannah comfortably sits on the couch and turns on the radio.
Keep listening to Horror Stories with Peter.
Oh, wow. This is my favorite program, but Mom and Dad never let me listen. But today, I can do anything I want. So, I will listen to horror stories today.
Hannah turns up the sound of the radio, and the program begins.
Today's story is a bit interesting because it is said that it is based on a true incident. This is the story of Halsett Street in our city of Chicago.
Wow! That's my street. Halsett Street means I will hear the story of our place today. I am very much excited.
This incident is from 20 years ago. A common man named Walter lived on Halsett Street. He had no family, so he adopted a lot of dogs. Many of his distant relatives had their eye on Walter's property. Some would even go to his house and try to kill him so they could inherit his house. But Walter had a pure heart. His loyal dogs would always save him. One day, a distant cousin named Mark came to his house. Mark wished to gain Walter's property, and one night Mark went to Walter's room and added poison to his water. Walter drank the water and died in his sleep. Mark took over all the property, but Walter's loyal dogs did not leave. They surrounded the new homeowner and ate him. For years, the vicious beasts kept everyone away from that house. Until, one by one, the dogs each starved, laid down by their master's dead body, and died with him. Hannah is scared to hear the story.
Wow, that's a scary story. I'd better go close all the windows and doors like Dad said. Mom and Dad will be home in the morning anyway.
Hannah closes all the windows and lays down on the bed to sleep. But she is afraid. She wraps herself in her blanket and covers her head. Then the flower pot falls from the table on her side table. Hannah screams.
Tom!
Tom arrives and sits on the side of the bed.
Please don't go anywhere leaving me here, Tom. I am very scared.
Hannah hangs her hand from the bed and Tom licks her hand, and Hannah falls asleep. At midnight, Hannah's eyes open completely, and it looks like something has bitten her hand.
Tom, what have you done? Why have you bitten me?
Hannah looks into the room, but Tom is not there, and there is a sound of crying. Hannah arrives in the hall, looking for him.
Where are you, Tom? Come out! What happened, my boy?
Hannah hears the crying coming from inside an empty room. Hannah opens the door and sees Tom hanging upside down in the air, and his eyes are bloody red. And on the wall is written, "We can lick too." Hannah gets scared and starts running away. Suddenly, Tom becomes a terrible monster. His sharp teeth, red eyes, and blood dripping down from his mouth was scary. It was the ghostly souls that came inside. Hannah is running away, and Tom came running from behind, taking her leg in his mouth, and pulls her backwards.
Leave me! Let me go!
This animal is loyal to you right now. This will himself. Tom bites Hannah's leg fiercely, and her leg bleeds. She limps away. Tom destroys the entire house.
Leave me, Tom! Please let me go! You are my faithful Tom! Recognize me!
Tom starts staring at her. Hannah calms herself, puts her trembling hand on his head and pets him. Tom slowly starts remembering Hannah. But then the ghosts take over Tom again. Tom's face turns red with anger. His pointed teeth become large. He is enraged to kill Hannah. He attacks Hannah and injures her badly. Hannah faints. The next morning, Hannah's mom and dad are knocking on the door of the house for quite a while, but only the sound of barking comes from inside.
Hannah, open the door, sweetie. Hannah!
What happened, honey? It's so late. Why isn't Hannah opening the door? And this Tom is also barking. I'm very nervous.
Wait, I will break down the door. They enter, and both scream. Hannah's corpse is lying on the floor, and Tom is circling her and barking continuously.
My baby girl. What happened to my baby girl? Who killed her?
Both start crying, and they're not able to handle the shock that Hannah is no longer alive. Rosie and Hannah are crying near Hannah's body. Then Tom comes to their back and starts snarling at Rosie, and the father turn and look back in horror and are surprised to see Tom. Then Tom starts to slowly move towards them.
What has happened to Tom? Why is he watching us like this?
They both look at Tom.
Tom, sit down. Tom, what has happened to you? I said sit down. Didn't you hear me, Tom?
Tom leaps at them, and they both start screaming, and all the birds fly away, and all the dogs in the city can be heard howling. Hannah's parents also leave the world like Hannah.